How are you?
Okay, I'm
Good.
good. How are you?
I'm just trying to get everything set up.
Huh?
I'm just trying to get everything set up.
Okay.
Do you hear me okay?
Uh-huh, yeah. Uh, Look, did we start letting people in at exactly 6 or 6:15?
I thought it starts at 6.
It
What
starts at
time?
6. It starts at 6, yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna start letting them in at about 5 till
Okay.
maybe before. I'm almost set up. I just want to make sure I have this other computer on so I can write down email addresses. I didn't get to do that for Fred Irby, and it was 48 people on there.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, so.
Well, this is gonna be, it may be, this is gonna be maybe boring to some people, but it's got to be done, so.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Might got to have a discussion.
What's the website? HBCU artists.
For this one,
There it is. I was just trying to, yeah, artist homecoming. I
oh,
was,
no, I have, no, I don't know, because I don't get it. They sit me down at this table and that's it.
here we go.
I don't know. I don't know I do know the number. That's it. I don't know how you get in. Okay, Natasha, you're on two screens.
Yes, I'm gonna turn my face around.
Oh, I'll say, I don't know how, I don't know how to do all that. Girl, I am just having,
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna take classes as soon as this is all over.
Stop, Princess.
I'm gonna take me some classes on all this stuff.
That's too much.
Come here.
Don't worry, all this noise in this house will be muted in a minute.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm trying to. It's just easier to do things when you're operating two computers at the same time. You shaking your head like I
I really don't know. I really don't. Well, yeah, because Angelique has two in that room. Yeah.
It looks like there is two.
Okay, I'm gonna check your videos and on your personal presentation,
Yes.
what you want the whole thing to play?
Uh-huh. It's about like 10 minutes or
See, that's
15.
what I was wondering. Okay, it is 10 minutes. So you want the whole thing to play?
Is that the one with the Brenda Wimberly story? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's from Southern University. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it does go move from, yeah.
Do you hear that?
Uh-huh.
Right. All right, let me just have that sit. Okay, I'm gonna put it in pause. And the reel, let me make sure we can hear that clearly. Was that coming through okay?
Uh-huh.
Great. Hey, Marvin.
Oh, hey, Brenda.
Hey,
I'm here.
I'm glad you're here.
So am I. All right, so we're gonna have some fun, huh?
Yes. Hello, Dr. Green.
How are ya?
I'm good.
Good. My mom's gonna say hi. Say hi, Mama. She can't see you. She's
Hi. They've already. I don't know who did. We're not started. We just it starts at 6, but they already started coming in.
So how's it going?
Well, it's very interesting.
It's called technology at its finest. I do these. I've been doing like two of these a day. I'm supposed to be retired, not doing Zoom meetings all day,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm on, as per usual, boards and committees, and everybody's Zooming meetings. So I'm like, okay, this is my second one today. I have one
Oh,
tomorrow.
is it?
Yeah, I have one tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Then I'm through. I'm like, that's it, children. Okay. I'm not getting paid for this stuff, so you all need to stop.
I know it. Listen, you are the authority of, since you are the emeritus dean, I'm just.
Retired.
Well,
Retired.
yes, retired, but still, since I don't have, I do have Dr. Green here who's in film,
Oh, good.
but since you have had the opportunity of housing all of the arts.
Yeah, don't remind. I was told I was missed already. I'm like, children?
So, since you do have a wealth of knowledge of all of the disciplines, which is wonderful, because we may ask you some questions.
I'll be truthful.
Yes, right, be truthful.
White folks are crazy. Can I say that?
No.
Let's check it. You know, I will. Get away from them as fast as possible.
I'm very glad that you're here.
Oh, well, thank you for the invitation.
And
I
hopefully,
was 2 weeks ago.
you know, do you know Sylvia Twine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We've met.
Oh, okay.
We've never, I think we've met once, but we communicated because she was a scholarship chair for NAM in Brooklyn, in New York.
Yes, okay. I told her that I had no idea that you were an hour ahead. I thought Chicago was on Central Standard Time.
I'm in Indiana, and Indiana is a split state.
Oh, okay.
So we are bipolar, dear. So where I live is Eastern time. If I drive 20 minutes, it changes to Central time.
Okay, I was about to say, I didn't think I had to say that to you because you were in Central Time. Okay, well, I'm glad you say, well, I'm in Central, I'm in Eastern Time.
But that's why when I got the invitation, I made sure what the time was.
Yeah.
Because you said Central, and I was like, well, that's an hour ahead for me. So,
Yes.
so it's really weird because when I go to Chicago, I gain an hour. When I come home,
You lose an hour.
I lose an hour. So if I go to Chicago at 10 o'clock in the morning, I get there about 11 Chicago time because it's a 2-hour drive. When I come home, when I leave at 6 o'clock in the evening, it's already 7 o'clock where I live.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
So I don't get home until 9 or later, depends on the traffic. So
Yeah.
so it was always easier. And when I take the train, I have to remember where I am. Because the train leaves at Eastern time and arrives at Central time.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's quite interesting because I thought it was the same.
yeah, I thought Indiana's, and they're trying to, they changed it about, I guess, 20 years ago. And so people are trying to figure out whether they want to change it back or not. And, it's like, and Michigan, which is right next to me,
Quite exactly.
part of it is on Central time also. So we had people who lived in the Central time zone, but taught the Eastern time zone.
That's weird. No, we don't have it that like that.
It's American, girl. A mess.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Sylvia.
Hello, Madam Wimberly. Hello, Dr. Aitchison. How are you?
Good.
Good.
So you made it.
Yes. Thank you. Dr. Curtis, what kind of socks do you have on today?
I have on, let me see. They have a line on the top of each one of them.
Okay.
It's funny. I stopped wearing socks because I retired. I don't have to go to school. But the weather changed here in Indiana. So.
Well, did you used to post your socks sometimes?
I did. I actually started posting them again. So they were up yesterday and today because my feet get cold now because today's high was 62. It's gonna be 55 next week.
Oh.
So we're into fall already.
Oh,
The leaves are turning, and I actually turned the heat on today. I didn't want to, but it was cold up in here. I was home all day, so like.
What? You have the heater on already? Oh God!
It was 44 degrees this morning when I got up.
I must step away for a moment.
Okay, yeah, we have. It starts at 6.
Yeah, I just need tissue.
Wait, my other guest should be here shortly.
So are we gonna talk about for Black students or for all students?
Well, it's really for Black students.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking, but here again,
Yeah.
First in general, we're going to talk about it in general,
Okay.
and then we do have the HBCU,
Mhm.
how it actually operates.
Yeah, and actually for me, it didn't change right after the white school. I just had more money. That's what I had.
I know it, yes. But the whole idea of collective,
Yeah.
that was wonderful, at Fayetteville State.
Mhm.
How those, departments work together. And,
Yeah.
actually, oh, this is, hey Valerie, this is Brenda. Eight, 9, 3. 3226. Oh, see, that's wrong. That's 893 3226. 3226 6604. What is your password? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's right. Okay, bye-bye.
Brenda, is she okay?
She is.
Okay.
The numbers were turned around. I did that.
Still. Girl.
Is it time for us to mute?
I will go ahead. I'm not seeing anyone in yet.
Okay.
Dr. Twine, I will tell you, I'm Natorsha Davis from Grambling State University. I have one of your choir students, Angel.
Oh,
Barnes.
Angel Barnes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, how's she doing?
She's a freshman.
No, you didn't say that, Natorsha.
It's a great voice in there.
Oh, she's a phenomenal voice, but she's
Yeah.
a freshman, so
Yeah.
she's great. Thanks for sending her down here. We need that kind of talent in this area.
Oh, listen, they're babies, but just kick her around a little bit. She'll get it straight. She's used to being pushed.
Yes.
So
Well, it's not gonna stop.
excellent.
She'll be on. She should be on.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Val. Joseph, chill out. Hey, Miss Francis, how are you? Did we lose her?
Natorsha's just running stuff, I see.
Yes, she's the host tonight.
All right.
Yes.
Val was in. Did we lose her?
No, I'm here.
Okay, how are
Hey,
you?
Val.
Hey.
Yeah, I got scared for a moment. Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Hey.
Brenda, how's your daughter?
She's doing fine. She's teaching and, and
Now, where is she?
she's in Louisiana with me. She left Niagara Falls.
Oh, she did? Okay, okay.
Yeah. So she's at home with her mommy.
All right.
She's teaching.
Get her a job, girl. Get her a job.
Yes, oh, yes.
You cannot live here without working. That does not work.
It does not work.
Does not work.
Amen.
All right, if you all will go ahead and mute, I'm gonna let a few more get on, and
Okay.
we're gonna have some introductions. Say hi to, I see two of my students already.
Okay.
Hi, DeWady. Dr. Twine, there's your baby right there. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know we have some others that will be joining us, but I would like to welcome you all back to another one of the HBCU Homecoming GSU Susla Artist Reunion. And tonight we will be featuring Miss Brenda Wimberly. And before we get started, we want to have some introductions by some of you all that's on. And I'm just going to randomly pick. We can start with Joseph since he was the first one to come on.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Joseph Papio. I'm a freshman at Grambling State University. I'm in the Grambling State University Concert Choir under the direction of Ms. Davis. My major is child development and early literacy with a minor in music.
Thank you, Joseph. And Angel, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Angel Barnes. I am a freshman at GSU. I'm a music major and I'm an education minor. And hi, Mama. Hi. Oh my God, I miss you and love you. Bye.
So for those of you who don't know, that's Angel's high school choral director. So you'll get a chance to hear from her today. Let's have one other, Aisha.
Hi, my name is Aisha Massey. I'm a senior at Grambling State University. I am in the concert choir, and my major is general studies with a concentration in juvenile behavioral.
Fantastic. I'm going to play the reel for you that I know you all have seen, but it is a part of our presentation. So we're going to watch the reel. In the midst of watching the reel, I would ask that you please share your name and your email address in the open chat. And also, I have my name as well. So would you also put your name and email address in that as well so I can keep up with who's online and we can forward any information, or if the Arts Council does not have your email address, we can add you to the list. I'm also going to include a survey link in the chat, and I would appreciate it if you all would take care of that survey. This time, my students, please make sure you fill out the online survey. And here's our opening reel. If we have some people that are just entering, please put your name in the chat and email address. And again, I just want to welcome you all to our presentation with Miss Brenda Wimberly. And just a little bit about Miss Wimberly and her background. She did her musical studies and training at Mariola Young Artist Opera Program in San Francisco Opera, the Young Artist Program, the Metropolitan Opera, and the American Institute of Musical Studies in Graz, Austria. She prepared for her classical stage, and her repertoire spans opera, oratorio, musical theater, jazz, the Negro spiritual, and we can go on and on about her accolades. And I know you all Most of you all have been on some of her presentations, so it's not a whole lot that I can say that you already don't know. But I'm going to open it up to her and let her have her way.
Just before you do, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Hey, Natasha, will you put us on Facebook Live, please?
And Brenda, you can go ahead while I'm setting it up.
Greetings, everyone. I'm so happy that you are here to join us as we continue the Homecoming 2020 project of reinvigorating of the arts programs on both Southern University, Shreveport, and Grambling State University. And before we get started, I'd like to do my story. Are we ready, Natasha? I am a product of
It's loading.
Okay, I'm a product of Southern University at 3050 Martin Luther King Drive in Shreveport. Did my first 2 years at Southern, and I have the foundation that I received there is exactly what I went on my undergraduate to my professional development to my master's degree, but my foundation was actually started right at Southern. And I was able to do 2 years and get my liberal arts subjects out of the way, and had a wonderful experience there. And as far as the arts are concerned, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So is it?
For your story?
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to show you my story.
You're muted, Brenda.
Okay, I'm sorry, technology, I'm not there yet. But tonight we're going to have a wonderful discussion on the bridge to enhancing education through the performing and visual arts, the impact on students and the community. And from this discussion, it is my desire that we can collectively address ways to re-energize and integrate the arts across the curriculum and bring it back to, if not some semblance of where it was, may not go back to where it was when I was a student at Southern. I was able to take the knowledge that I actually garnered there, had wonderful Lyceum programs. I met my first person that I actually met, artist that I met on campus was Leon Bates, the pianist, and Nikki Giovanni, the poet, the poet laureate. And so wonderful, wonderful, rich experiences in the performing and visual arts while I was at Southern. And I never will forget Mr. Wiggins, who was my mentor, He took 4 students to Houston, Texas, and to a recital. And it was a recital with Leontine Price, who is that's who I wanted to be. That question was always thrown, who do you want to be? Well, I wanted to be Leontine Price. And when I actually witnessed that recital, that changed my whole perception of what it was that I wanted to do with my music and how I wanted to study. And that's why I went after trying to be the next Leontine Price. Well, I didn't make it, but I did some wonderful, substantial things, and which I'm very proud of. And I just, I know that the cultural arts really helped me to really become a well-rounded person. And that is exactly what we want for all of our students, and hopefully we're going to get some of that tonight. But before we do that, I had a little PowerPoint that actually tells you exactly what this evening is about. And I'd like to show that if I can, Natasha. This is in a nutshell, if we can.
Let me download it again, Brenda. Go ahead, I'll catch up.
Well, okay, well, we'll do it at the end. I feel like that. Okay. We'll do that we can do that at the end. The bridge of enhancing education through the performing and visual arts, the impact on students and the community. I would like to now introduce my wonderful, distinguished artist educators who are going to help in this conversation tonight on how do we address some of the things that need to be done to ensure that aesthetics is important to our students and to the community as a whole. I'd like to first introduce. Now, I just want to let you know that these artist educators just had too many things. Their resumes are too long, so I just took the special things that I knew that I would be very important tonight, so I would like to share this. My first panelist is Sylvia Twine, mezzo-soprano and featured soloist of international and national acclaim with performances in Hanau, Germany, the Kennedy Center, the Embassy of Czech Republic, just to name a few. studied voice with the international acclaimed tenor, George Shirley, and serves as a member of the vocal music faculty at Duke Ellington School of the Arts in Washington, D.C. And she is the music director for the historic St. Luke's Episcopal Church, also located in Washington, D.C. Valerie Jones Francis, soprano. Mastery as recitalist, opera singer, and scholar that has taken her across the United States to Trujillo, Peru. Her award-winning brilliant voice places her among the country's greatest performers in classical music and Negro spirituals. Dr. Francis currently serves as Associate Professor of Music and Executive Artistic Director of Art of Opera and Vocal Performance at Nicholls State University in Thibodaux, Louisiana. Marvin V. Curtis, conductor and composer, has received numerous commissions for community choirs and choral festivals around the country. Dr. Curtis is the first African-American composer commissioned to write a choral work for a presidential inauguration. His composition, City on the Hill, premiered for the 1993 inaugural ceremonies for President William Jefferson Clinton. Also received the Ford Foundation Fellow to Ghana, West Africa. Recently retired from serving 12 years as the dean at Ernestine M. Racklin School for the Arts at Indiana University at South Bend, where he was over music, fine arts, theater, dance, communication studies, integrated music, new media studies. He was the first African-American dean to serve in this capacity in the university's 103-year history. We are so honored to have you three panelists here with us to discuss this very, very needed and necessary subject tonight. I want to thank you all for being here with me. The bridge of enhancing education through the performing and visual arts, the impact on students and the community. I have a few questions and ideas I'd like to ponder during our discussion. But I first would like to have each one of you just briefly, is the performing and visual arts viewed as being a luxury and not for everyday life? Can you all share with me your thoughts on that question? I'd like to first hear from Dr. Curtis. I can see his face.
All right, Brenda. It is not a luxury. It's a part of our African heritage. And that's something that I started teaching in public schools. So that I taught kindergarten through 12th grade. I played with blocks on the floor with the kids. I got a cold every year coming from the kids. I learned that, and in my own learning, discovered that it was through the arts that I learned the best. And it was that love for the arts that my parents saw in me, and of course gave me piano lessons and things like that. But as a teacher, I recognized that for Black students in particular, because I did my dissertation on using African-American folktales and music to teach, that our culture comes from a relational learning style. So we learn best by doing things. Dance is African, music was African, storytelling is African. Our churches are built on the folklore, the folktale style of Africa. And so when you take out the arts from a Black student, you take out their culture. And one of my big deals with school boards is that the first thing they want to cut are the arts when it comes to Black kids. And that takes away who we are. If you put the arts back in and train the teachers to teach it using the tools of the African culture and the African American culture, I think our students will learn better. And I proved that in my dissertation. We used the African folktale, The People Could Fly by Virginia Hamilton. I set it to music, and we actually did it with a group of fifth graders on tape. Lee Cloud and I worked on it together. And Lee did it with these kids, and it was phenomenal what they learned and how they got involved in the story. We know that when we go to church, we just don't sit there. We participate. There's always a praise team. There's a dance group. There's music everywhere. There's art in the windows, in the sanctuary. Those things are part of our culture. We grew up singing. Our parents sang to us. Our grandmothers sang to us, told us folklore, told us folktales. That's how we learned. And so for me, it was about teaching my students. On the collegiate level, it was about teaching my students what they did not know already. As you know, when I was at Fayetteville State for 12 years, and I taught at Lane College and Virginia Union University, 3 Black universities, it have always amazed me that our students did not know the Negro National Anthem. They had not learned it growing up. So I had to teach it to them and then tell them the story about it. They had not heard about spirituals. I had to teach it and tell them the stories behind it. And one of the best classes I taught at Fayetteville State was African American music. I had 60 kids twice in 2 sections every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It was amazing because kids did not know their history. And so for us to be able to know our history, the arts are very important. And so for me, it's the foundation. And from there, you take it to the performing level. And in our Black schools, the choirs were the main focus because they always toured. But it's more than just the touring. It's teaching the students about the music, the composers. It's integrating that with art and dance and theater. It's doing those performances. When I was at Indiana University, I was very proud that we did Racing in the Sun. First time anybody had ever done it in South Bend. I had enough Black students in the theater program that year to do it. And I brought in a Black director, and we did it, and it was tremendous. But it taught our students what they did not know, because it was history, and they didn't know anything about Lorraine Hansberry, any of that. And like you, I learned, I got to see artists when I was younger. James Earl Jones came to my high school in Chicago. And you see this big man with his voice, you just go, whoa. Lena McLean was my high school choir director. And so that name became famous to me. And so we got to see all these people. When I was in NAM as a student, I got to sit with Kenneth Phillips and Sylvia Olden Lee and William Moorfield. So you meet these people and you realize the influence that they have on you. So yes, the arts are very important in the development of who we are. And it also, and I'll say this as I close, it is also a bridge to those who are not Black to discover who we are, because they don't know it either. And I discovered that I had to teach everybody. And it's amazing when you see people's eyes open because they did not know that we had Black composers back in the 1800s, the 1700s, that we had people at the White House singing in the 1800s, that there were Black composers like William Grant Still and others, that this music they were listening to, that George Bridgetower was a friend to Beethoven, but the Chevalier de St. George was a very famous composer and violinist, and he's now getting his recognition all these years later.
Yes.
Right now, because we have to tell the story. So those of us in education have to tell the story. Those of us in administration have to make sure the story gets told. And I'll be quiet.
Okay, well, I'd like to know, do any of the other panelists would like to to say something on this question? If not, we can go
Well,
on to.
I would just like to just piggyback on Dr. Curtis. Thanks again, Brenda, for inviting me to participate.
Oh,
We have so much in common. I just saw something else on your wonderful presentation that we're gonna talk about later.
Yeah.
But what Dr. Curtis just said about telling the story, we have to tell it, we have to live it. And in doing so, we have to take on those extra challenges for our children who are really not receiving the best education that they can receive in the arts. Our culture is all about building leaders and legacies and legends. And we have to continue that because the Lord has kept us here for a reason. All this craziness going on, it's our responsibility to sometimes back off, put ourselves on the back burner so that the children can survive. Yes. And all of us have had very, very, very similar beginnings at church and wonderful teachers and that kept us afloat. And all of that is ingrained in us. And it's something that we have to share. I often tell my students and my children, I work with children all the time, and of course I teach on the college level now, but it's not just about when they study music, it's not just about them achieving, it's also about, who's waiting to see what you're going to do with yourself. Yes. There's somebody else that you have to inspire. It's not just about you, about them excelling. They have to be an example to the other kids who follow. And that's what we've been doing. And I know all of you all have. So, we have, we take that back burner sometimes, we want to be out there, hey, I want to go front. But you got to take the step back so that, the kids can follow and see that we have to share what we've been given, because a lot of our kids are being neglected.
Sylvia, do you have something you'd like to chime in, or?
Well, they've covered pretty much everything that I was thinking.
Yeah.
With the exception, if I'm thinking about just the balance of education, with all of the reductions in art and music classes in public and charter schools, many of our children are being deprived of the opportunity to develop their artistic skills. And as a result of that, they're not prepared, many of them, to compete for scholarships and post-secondary education and careers. So thinking of it as a luxury and not for everyone, every child, yes, is discouraging. And so it's something that we need to combat, that train of thought, yes.
Well, I'm going to piggyback because everybody's talking about children. I had this question. If children are our future, then how can we promote appreciation of the arts and culture in their lives? When when the barriers, we have so many barriers that stop us from doing such a thing. There is now a great emphasis on STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. And there are so many artists who are trying to change that thing around to say STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. It's very difficult because I know that if the children receive it at an early age, it will actually just move with them, be a part of who they are, and they can go on to the next level. And by the time they get to you, when they get to high school or when they get to college, they are better prepared and not afraid because they have been miseducated. And I just, I don't know how we're going to combat that, but it has to be done because we are losing another generation of children who are not in touch with themselves. And not only they're not in touch with themselves, they really do not know what's inside of them. And if they do not have that creative expression, or it's not harnessed in some type of way, that we're going to have another lost generation of our wonderful, expressive arts in our community, in our community, and the community at large as well. So I didn't know if anybody wanted to touch on that. How can we promote appreciation of the arts?
Well, Brenda, I'd like to chime in. You know, we've had conversations about this, and I can get very passionate about this STEM versus STEAM conversation because, you know, I feel like when we focus just on the STEM, we leave out the most important, what I feel is the most important part of our humanity, and that is creativity. And our kids need exposure. And this is how we can promote this appreciation of the arts. I have some colleagues who in jest teased me for several years. For about 5 years, I served as the Eastern Regional Chair of the George Shirley Competition, which is held in Detroit every year. And for a few years, I actually rented a van and shuttled students and their parents to this wonderful competition in Michigan. And they teased me about that for a long time. But we have to take a grassroots approach to this if we are indeed lovers of the arts and want to see it go forward and want to plant that passion in the next generation. So I would take the competitors and students who were not necessarily competing to expose them to the level of singing that was taking place in this competition. And they were inspired, so inspired that many of them, some of which I took strategically because they weren't doing so well academically, but to see what the possibilities were for them. And they came back inspired and worked so very hard. And for the last 2 years of that competition, the kids that I took, they swept the house, and I was so proud of them. And some of them they were underachievers academically. A couple of them come to mind, and they worked and got their grades up so that they were eligible to compete and did so well. 2 of them actually won awards that were specifically included college level as well as high school level kids. So our kids, you know, if they are exposed to the arts, if they are exposed to what the possibilities are, there's no end in sight for them. The sky's the limit, and they need only to see the possibility.
Very good.
I can piggyback on that.
Mm-hmm.
2 things come to mind. First is, as a teacher, particularly of elementary and high school, junior high school students, and we know as teachers, we do things that are not part of the curriculum for our students. We go into our pockets for things like that. I taught for 5 years in a school for emotionally disturbed children in New York. I took my students to see Alvin Ailey at City Center. Most of my students who lived in New York, who came to our school, which was a residential school, had never been past 125th Street. And we were up in Yonkers, New York. So I'm taking them downtown to city center. So I had to teach them how to get dressed. I had to get them dressed, get the van, get the tickets, prepare them to sit for 2 hours. And of course, Revelations was, I always take them to see that because that was us. So you began to expose kids at an early age, as my parents did with us. And I think you have to start even before they get to our level, at the collegiate level. And it's also about fighting with school boards. It's about parents making it known that this is what is necessary. That we have to advocate, because we're paying those tax dollars as well, that why aren't our students having this? You know, why is it that the first thing you want to cut are the arts? You know, why? You know, and you need to show that to me. There are now test scores that show that students that are in the arts score very high and are better students than other students are. Most students in STEM have some sort of artistic ability. And so we have to be an advocate for our own program. The problem has been that we as teachers of the arts have not been our own advocates. We don't articulate, you know, you can't just say it feels good anymore. You have to go find the studies that show the SAT scores, the ACT scores, the scores on the standardized test to show the school boards. We can no longer just teach only classical music.
Right.
You know, we have to, you know, kids don't listen to the symphonies, they listen to everything else. And we have to be able to take that and show them how that works musically. We have to take them to art museums, we have to take them to the theater, we have to take them to poetry slams. And the universities are responsible, as ours was, for providing for our students, the younger students. I was very proud at IU South Bend that for 54 years, they have a children's show that runs for 2 weeks in February. And the shows were designed for children, 45 minutes. We bust in 1,600 kids a day to see Jack and the Beanstalk or The Wizard of Oz, you know, told at the children's point of view. And for a lot of the students I discovered, and people in South Bend, their first theater experience was in our school because they came to the children's theater program. There was a study guide. As you know, when we did the operas in the summertime.
Yeah,
Brenda and I worked on Magic Flute. We created a study guide and we did a short version for the community. And it was free to the kids. And we packed auditorium, over 1,000 students and their parents. Every kid got a t-shirt. I still have mine upstairs.
I still have mine.
And we ended up doing 3 operas every summer in English. But we did the 1 hour version for the students. Parents brought their kids in droves because we provided for them a free event that kids could go to, and they left with a t-shirt. Now, that required me to write grants forever. And required us to work in the summertime. But the enhancement that we gave those kids, here you got kids go to a shortened version of an opera, you know, and they're, you know, and you can see them in the grocery store later on with their t-shirts on, you know, because they had come to see at a Black school an opera in the summertime. And so, you know, but it was extra work. That meant that I could take 6 weeks out of my summer to do that. But the best part was we exposed students to that. And from that, you know, students some students, I think we probably got 1 or 2 that came to the school as students later on. But just think about the fact that we were exposing Black kids to opera at that age. But it was not something that was part of the curriculum. It was extra.
We're gonna talk about that a little more.
Okay.
Natasha, you, okay.
She stopped us at a good point. We're going to take a little 5-minute break. So go out and refresh yourselves and come back.
Keep up the energy, because I got to pull your brains, okay?
And I know you've enjoyed yourself so far. I do ask that you can come back in and complete the survey. Students and other guests that we have, please complete the survey. And we will be back in 5 minutes.
Well, you all are just
Everyone can
wonderful.
mute yourselves. We are on
Oh.
Facebook Live. All right, and we are back. Again, I do ask those of you who are guests, please complete the survey, and I'll drop it in the chat again in just a second. I also want to let you all know that if you have any questions or comments, please input that into the tray. Please put a Q for questions so I'll know I can recognize it right off the bat that you have a question. And if you have a comment for any of the guests or our presenters, just put a C and we can read it and move forward. But again, if you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the chat. I'm going to begin by showing you Brenda's presentation that we didn't get to see a second ago or at the beginning of the presentation, and then we're going to move forward as soon as that's over. And thanks again for being a part of this. And if you are new and did not get a chance to let us know who you are, please drop your name and your email address in the chat. I can tell you did that.
End it for me.
All right, back to Brenda. Unmute yourself.
I want to again thank my wonderful panel here tonight. Ms. Sylvia Twine from the Duke Ellington School of the Arts in Washington, D.C., Dr. Valerie Francis, Associate Professor of Music and Executive Artistic Director of Opera and Vocal Performance at Nicholls State University in Thibodaux, Louisiana, and Dr. Marvin V. Curtis, Dean Emeritus from Indiana University, South Bend. He, the Dean of the Racklin School for the Arts. And we're very happy to have each and every one of you. And we've been having such a wonderful conversation. I'd like to just continue. Did everyone chime in? Yes, I think so. Now, this is about the community. Does a healthy community invest in sustainability of arts and culture when defining its value in society?
Well, I'd like to chime in on that.
Yes.
I wanted to say from the last, when we just finished up with Dr. Curtis and Sylvia, I will say ditto to that. You know, I've been in, you know, I brought my car and packed my students in and traveled here and, you know, and because of my orientation and people who believed in me, because I wasn't the student that, I was not the best in theory. I wasn't the best in, I was a late bloomer, but I had teachers who cuddled me and encouraged me. And so that's in me. And so I just wanted to say, as far as the community goes, to this day, I still work with children. I have a group called the Patriotic Project. And it started right after Katrina, but I've been working with children since I was a child, so anyway. But they perform music of all different backgrounds as choral members, as well as individual soloists. because of the way that I introduced music to them, and I'm a preacher's kid, so I love gospel. It's in my being, you know, but I am a professional artist as a classical artist. And I've introduced various genres to all of my, the students that I work with. And my motto is always dare to be different. And then as a faculty member at Dillard University, where I graduated from in 1983, and I started a project called Opera Under the Stars, and actually my voice teacher at the University of Oklahoma was Dr. Thomas Carey, and that was a program that he had, and I continued it at Dillard, and my students became mentors to high schoolers, and and it took a lot, you know, but we trained students to sing opera. They had roles, you know, roles that were appropriate for them. And just to watch the students see a different light of what they were capable of doing, and they were capable of achieving. You know, and my daughter was a part of that as a child, and, you know, and it's just a wonderful thing to continue these things. As far as community goes, if you involve the children, the parents will come. The parents will come. And even now, from Dillard all the way here, we did it at Xavier University. When I had the opera program there, we involved high schoolers, we involved children, and you know, and they were in the scenes, as well as now here in Thibodaux, the opera program every year. I go to different schools, kids who are interested. There's no audition or anything. It's all the kid is not meant, does not have to feel intimidated in any way. And we have kids who participate who are from New Orleans, from Baton Rouge, from, of course, here in Thibodaux, all different high schools, Morgan City, all the surrounding Bayou parishes, and they come in and they rehearse with us, and we put on major productions every, you know, since I've been here, and they have been a part of it. And just to, you know, to watch these kids emerge from being, okay, this is all, I just like R&B. I have a student that graduated from Juilliard, and I remember when she was a little girl, she said, hey, I want to be a Beyonce. And then here she graduates from Juilliard. I mean, so, and that's, you know, and that's just so crazy, but just to see, you know, the different things. And I watch my own daughter, I watch my students who are here, who have just gone on and dare to be different, you know, and stepped out of their comfort zone to say, hey, let me try this.
Yes.
And I've been so very proud of them, and we've taken it, I'm gonna say it be quiet after this, we've even taken it to another level here at Nichols, because we have a program called Bridge to Independence. And these are kids who have some autistic challenges, and now they attend my opera rehearsal practices, and it might take a little bit longer sometimes to make sure everybody is serviced, but they participate with the opera. And it's just going the extra mile, as all of you have. And I'm so happy to be a part of that family, because we have to keep doing that as long as we're here. And yeah, I just wanted to say that you know, the community, when you get the community involved, when you get the children involved, the parents will come. And you educate the parents as well, because a lot of the parents haven't been exposed, and you have babies, the babies having babies type thing, and you know, they haven't had a chance to grow up and experience. And it's our job to make sure that they're serviced as well.
Brenda, if I may add to that, thank you. I really totally agree with what you're saying. I strongly believe that a healthy society must invest in the arts, and not to do so, in my thinking, in my belief, it's a dangerous and costly mistake. The arts teaches our children so many things. It teaches our children how to feel and how to express themselves in many ways. And to go back to that STEM thing, I've never, and I'm going to say this in jest, but have yet to find the aesthetic value in mathematics alone. But but when you combine it with a mind that is artistically nurtured, and we can witness the emerging of designers, architects, builders, and yes, musicians, artists alike. And so a society that is healthy must embrace all of its people, and the arts is so very important to that. You were talking about programs that that invite the community come in. When, as director at St. Luke's, I run a Choral Scholars program where the kids come in during the week and they act as section leaders for those members of the church who do not read music in the choir. And then on Sunday mornings, I have professional singers to come in and they lead. And so the young people get an opportunity to sing alongside of professional singers and people who are on stage doing this professionally. And so they get an opportunity to have that type of exposure and training early. But it is an investment that St. Luke's has committed to make to help build the next generation of artists. And so as a community, we must keep that fight going. We must invest in the arts. And, those of us who are not necessarily wealthy, we have to find creative ways of doing that, from street theater to, Dr. Curtis talked about taking kids who have never been to a show to see the, was it Alvin Ailey?
Alvin Ailey.
Yeah, and it's a must. It's a must. It's necessary if we are to rehumanize our society. Arts is the way that we do it.
When you are in an art desert, it's very difficult to imagine how to actually create these types of situations for our children. And so we have to be creative in the way in which we actually do that, because there's so many, we don't have resources to actually do the things that need to be done. And I think, this is my perception, a healthy community would combat a lot of the idleness, a lot of the idle time that people get, that knuckleheads get into things. If it was a way in which we could really have have the arts a part of what we do, and we see that because the arts is, if it's sustained in the community, it helps. It helps with the economy of the community. It helps with the diversity of programs that's in the community. And and it gives life to the community. And our community will begin to see the beauty that's just there. Just aesthetical viewpoint of the arts. Because truly, I'm gonna tell you, some people are so unaware that if art, if a beauty would just come up and slap them in their face, they wouldn't recognize it. And that's a fact. So how do we get to the point where that it is something that it's not a byproduct, it's just, it is. It's what we do. And I know that finding money to try to do things in the community is very difficult for some people. But maybe we can, you know, tonight, maybe somebody can give us a point of a reference of how we can bring ourselves to having healthy communities and sustaining the arts, and so that art will become a part of just what we do in alive and to be alive in our communities, because it is so, there are so many communities that are just hurting because they have no branding, they have no definition. So how can we address those things? And can anybody give me one point?
Well, I feel that what we're doing today is, I think what we're doing today is a great starting point. You know, we have to collaborate on and share what we've done individually and see, and then we find out, okay, we've done a whole lot of the same things, but other people, I mean, everybody knows some other niche or somewhere else that, you know, that can help somebody else. You know, as far as funding is very difficult. I will say the different programs that I've done, I don't have any funding for it. It's just something that I do because, you know, that after Katrina, I really had a rough time. I mean, I lost all my jobs in personal issues, and you know, and I will say that my little group, the Patriotic Project, saved me. You know, because it gave me that's my art is what I had left. You know, and to this day, you know, I'm starting over. My daughter's 22 now, and she was what, 8 years old when she was a part of it. And now I have kids who are you know, I'm rebuilding now. Same with kids who are like 4 and 5, up to some of them are in high school, teenagers now. You know, and the kids who were the nucleus, they come back and they help me. And it's not even it's not even any qualms about it. They are there to help me with the children. And we just have to communicate amongst ourselves, share ideas, so that, you know, we can make everybody's section, wherever we live, wherever the children that we blessed with our gifts and stuff, we have to make sure that we learn from each other and bring it back to our own communities, and not be afraid to say, okay, so what are you doing over here that, you know, that you maybe can help me and I can help.
Well, yeah, and I'd like to try that. Oh, I want to try that. Yeah, okay, because I definitely, Dr. Curtis, do you want to chime in before, because?
Yeah, there are a couple of things I want to say. One is the community we have to start sometimes where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And sometimes where we are is the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
I grew up singing in the children's choir at the church.
Yeah.
Okay. I had no choice. You know,
that's right.
That was it. But that's, you know, and the church provided for us an artistic beginning. And I think the partnerships that we have to develop have to start with things that we own, and we own the Black church. And it's incumbent upon us to talk to our pastors and show them the need. That also means that when you do that, you become the person that's in charge. Because you know, when you go to a pastor with an idea, it becomes you're the person in charge of it. But that's where the kids are. That's where the kids can come to. I spent many a summer in New York at Emmanuel Baptist Church. We had summer camp. All these kids came in the summertime. It was free lunch during that time period. They were there all day for their parents, and we did music. We took them places. I discovered that there are a lot of free tickets to events, and that groups like Alvin Ailey or Destiny of Harlem will give free tickets to students. There are corporations that will give free tickets to students. There are museums that are open to students that are free. Everything doesn't have to cost. And sometimes it's just getting us there. And of course, in New York, we had the subway, so it wasn't a big problem. But we took kids everywhere to expose them. And it started because of the church. As you get older, as we did in high school, like I talked about, I took the kids to see Alvin Ailey. I took them to Broadway musicals. I would call up and say, I got children, I got students. There were student prices, we were able to do. And as you, by the time you got to where I was in Fayetteville State, we had been to Europe, but Black folks gave us money because they saw kids wanting to go to Europe. And so we were able to raise the money to go because Black parents and Black grandmothers and aunts and uncles and people in the community said, these kids need to do this. I took kids to Europe whose parents had never got a passport. But they were so glad that their kids were going. So it's that partnership that you have to develop, that you as the individual, as Dr. Francis became the guru for that program, and Sylvia's been the guru for her program, and I've been the guru for our programs. It's not something that's part of my paycheck, and you know that.
Yeah, right.
Maybe an hour after school, with crazy stuff. But the result was students got a chance to be exposed, and that changed their lives. One of my best stories is I took 60 kids to Europe for a week for Fayetteville State, Black kids who didn't know anything about flying on an airplane, And we got there, we sang in all these churches and cathedrals. We sang at Notre Dame. We raised all this money to go. And the kids learned so much because they had read about the Eiffel Tower. Now they were in the Eiffel Tower. And when Notre Dame burned, I had students who were now mothers and fathers emailing me on Facebook because they had the article about when we went to Europe, and they remembered that they had sung in that cathedral. So it's about exposure, and you have to find out wherever it is. And partnerships start at a very basic level. Grant writing is something I've been very good at doing, but it took me a while. But I learned that the partnerships are important, and that people will give you money if you have a great program. There's a lot of free stuff. And sometimes when you're in that cultural desert, if you just sit and think about what else is around you, there's some building with a piece of art in it someplace. Yeah. There's some museum down there. There's something going on. Dance troops come through the town. You get on that list. You learn who's in charge of those things. You find out what your arts council is. You talk to people and you begin to make those connections. And then you can become the person to make the catalyst to make things happen. Because they recognize who you are. I was supposed to be retired. I'm on all these boards now in South Bend because everybody wants my expertise. And I'm like, I'm not working, children. But I'm serving because it's going to be better for the students. Because I know that if I serve on this board, talk about diversity with the orchestra and with these things I'm doing, and I tell folk, I'm not doing diversity on paper. I'm doing diversity with a budget. If you can't budget this into your budget for the thing, I'm not doing it because I'm past that stage. So we have to be our advocates. We have to be the guru. We have to be the fundraiser. We have to be the cheerleader. But the result is our students become exposed. And that one student that may have seen Alvin Ailey may become the next Misty Copeland, for all we know. You just don't know that.
Exactly. Dr. Curtis, may I add to that? We, as educators, cannot be hesitant or fearful to step out there and put ourselves on the line to make those things happen. You were talking about taking your group to Europe. Last year before last, I took a group of, I think it was like 23 girls, the sophisticated ladies from Duke Ellington, to Australia, and 2 years before that to Australia before Austria. And when we went to Australia, we actually sponsored and hosted the Australian Girls Choir in DC. And so as I was preparing and talking with their directors about bringing them to DC and helping them with their tour, my mind said to me, well, you know, if they could come here, we can go there.
Go there.
And then when I saw the bottom line, how much it was going to cost, I knew it was going to be nothing short of a miracle to make it happen. But when you reach out to the community,
yes,
and say that this is a need, we have to get these girls there, then
yes,
people will come. And I had all kind of artists and singing professionals, including Miss Wimberly, who came up and offered their talent to make things like that happen. So we must not be afraid to reach out to those and that you believe will give you a hand and make it happen. Because
Brenda knows, I was big at hiring people. I would tell them, I can't pay you a whole lot of money. I get you here, and I can feed you.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
And I promise to put you up at a nice hotel. I'll give you, I give you a little bit of money, but I will take care of you.
Yeah,
exactly.
We get treated very well.
Yes, we had all kind of people from the Fayetteville State. We had Leon Bates. We had Nikki Giovanni came. We had and here George Shirley actually came for our Black History Month a couple years ago, and I drove to George's house to get his stuff and brought it back. He came down. Willis Patterson was just at the school at Christmas. We did them all at the night visitors, and I did it my second year. I did it for my last year, and I knew that Willis had been the king, and I know Willis, and Ann Arbor isn't that far. Well, he came down twice. He came down and did a symposium for my students that we taped a whole hour. Then he came back for the performance. He told stories I didn't even knew about among the night visitors. But our students were exposed to this man who just turned 90 years old. And it enhanced their performance because they got a chance to talk to the first Black king on television.
NBC.
NBC.
Yeah, it was on NBC.
He told the story about how he got that job, and it was amazing. And then I'll finish up by saying that when we went to Europe the first time, everybody thought I had lost my mind. It's like, you're gonna take 60 Black kids to Paris? Yes, and Belgium. While we were there, somebody heard us sing. And this impresario flew over from Brussels to North Carolina, talked to the dean and the chancellor, and paid for me to bring 30 kids back the following year. For 3 weeks, all expenses paid. Now, had we had gone the first time, I wouldn't have gone the second time. The second time I went, it didn't cost me any money. Tickets were paid for, hotel, and we sang all over Belgium and took a side trip to Paris. But it exposed my students to, can you imagine a college kid saying, I've been to Paris twice in 4 years, okay? And sang in the great cathedrals. But because we did it the first time and we stepped on our faith and had all those partnerships going, and people recognize that when you try to take Black kids someplace, they see that as a positive step. And they will contribute, they will help you as much as they can. We had white elephant sales, we had bake sales, we had all kind of stuff going on. We sold all kind of things. But all of a sudden, these kids had their eyes open. Because how many Black students have a passport? But you took your students to Australia, in Austria.
Both Australia and
and
Australia.
Australia. And that opened up the whole new world for those students. It made them citizens of the world.
Yes.
And so we have to be the advocates. And yes, as I said before, it was not part of my paycheck. It was not part of my duties.
That's right.
But when you're standing in the center of Notre Dame and you're singing, it doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, now this leads up to actually my last question. And this is pertaining to the HBCUs. What role does HBCUs play as stimuli to enhancing performing and visual arts to its students and community?
Okay, I'm gonna really be bad now. Okay.
Okay, because we are trying to reinvigorate the arts on our campus. And sometimes the performing in visual arts, we kind of get lost in some things. We would like to be in the.
What you have to do, from my perspective, and having been a dean of an art school, which was laughable when I got there 12 years ago, and now very respected. I had to make that school function as a school. And the first thing I had to do was get the faculty to act like they had good sense and not fight each other, because it was a school of the arts. It wasn't a school of music. So I had 5 art forms that had to learn how to work together. That by itself is an educational experience, because you have all these silos. And it takes people coming together under a common theme to make people understand that this is not about them, it's about the kids. And so a lot of HBCUs, the band and football is, that's a big thing, But football only lasts so long. What happens in the spring? Well, there's basketball. That only lasts so long too. But there's also the music, there's the dance, there's the theater. And you have to get administrators to understand the importance of that. That takes a lot of conversations. If they've never been exposed to it, it takes success. You need to get I always talk about one big success every year to make people stand up. And sometimes those partnership successes come with singing with the symphony, performing with an ensemble, bringing a guest artist. We had Denise Graves come to the school, and she did a fabulous concert and masterclass. And Denise is crazy. I love her to death. She flies Southwest, so there's no big airfare. She's just down to earth. But she came. We had more people at the masterclass than I've seen in my life. Over 150 people came to a masterclass because it was Denise Graves. And I think, and the chancellor was all excited. My boss was all excited because you're bringing people in. But you have to get the administration and the faculty to understand it's about working together to do projects together. It can't be art versus music versus theater. It has to be us as a collaborative form together. And that's one of the big things that I take away from being a dean, was to get people to work together. Because it's not about them as an individual, it's about what students can accomplish. And when the students are successful, we're all successful. But I go back to the administration. You have to convince your administrators that this is important. And you have to stay in their face. It's like you can't take no for an answer. And you know me, Brenda, I don't take no for an answer. Yeah. You gotta figure out a way. If they say no, you gotta figure out a way to make it happen anyway. And
But tell me this: if you believe in what you are doing and if you believe that the performing and visual arts is as important as academics, because it is the bridge.
It is academics.
It's the bridge. It's aesthetics. It makes the whole person. The arts make the whole person.
But it is academics. That's what you have to remember. It's academics. It is academics. It's not a frill.
It's part of
the academic life of a student.
Yes.
And so those classes that I taught in African American music, were not for music majors. Those were GE classes.
Right.
Really, those classes, the general education classes. And I got students in my choir from teaching that class.
Mhm.
They liked me as a teacher, and I found out they could sing, and they said I did with my choir. So we have to create sometimes those general education classes that will give a kid 3 credits, but it's in African American music, something that they don't know about, you know, or theater, whatever it is.
But
we,
it could be any, it could be theater,
It could be theater,
it could be
art,
art, it could be
Sure.
dance, it could be, yes, it could be any of those,
Yeah.
any of
But
those.
you have to create. We are creative people as artists, so we have to figure out how to do it. And you can't. And the way I got around in Fayetteville State was to create those classes. Nobody had ever taught African American music at Fayetteville State. I take that back. One person had taught it before, but they had like 10 kids in the class. Well, I taught it, and we had 60 kids in two sections every time, because I made it fun. You know, I made them read, I made them write, but also expose them to their history. And our kids don't know their history enough. And so, there was no class I ever took in college in African American music. I had to learn it on my own. And I discovered books, I discovered media stuff I could do with them. I gave them assignments, you know, to come to concerts, to hear things. We talked about not only the classical stuff, we started with Africa. The course began with Africa. Do you even know what Africa is? It's not a state, children, okay? It's a continent. It's not one country, you know. And talk about West Africa versus East Africa, you know, and we still started learning the things that we had. I brought my drums in, and we talked about rhythms and let them create some stuff. These are college kids. I never had an empty classroom, but you have to start creating it someplace.
Yes, you did this, you talked about what you did for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Of bringing of actually presenting.
Yes.
That the community could be involved, because I can remember doing the opera, one of our summer operas, the Magic Flute.
Yeah.
We had people from the community that auditioned for this opera. You don't know what you have in your community until you stretch and reach, and you invite your community to take part in activities on the campus. That's a way. That's a way in which you get involved.
Even with the fine arts series that we did, I brought in guest artists. There was no charge. The grant underwrote the cost of the artists. So I'm bringing these people for free.
Yeah.
You know, to the community. When we had Denise Graves come, she gave me her fee, and I got to know her, so the fee got lowered. But it still was more than my budget.
Yes.
But I wrote enough grants for it. We only charge $25 to come hear Denise Graves give a concert. Now, where can you go for $25 to hear Denise Graves give a concert? And the masterclass was free. And my students auditioned and were part of the masterclass.
I need for you to for just a minute, because we don't have but a few minutes. I mean, we're almost out of time.
I'll be quiet.
You have, you're by yourself. How important is grant writing?
Very, very important. Because there's not enough money ever for the arts. And so you have to find it someplace else.
Yeah.
And it's I discovered how important it was at Fayetteville State when I wrote my first one. My first grant was $2,900. I thought I had hit pay dirt, you know. I was so excited. My last grant was $75,000. I raised over $5 million at IU in grants and stuff. And those grants enabled me to do programming outside of my budget.
Yes.
But we did Hailstorms That Made My Vow, and you came as the soloist. That was all paid for with grants. You know. Now that meant I had to go research them. I had to go figure out how to write them. I had to do the reports afterwards.
Right.
You know. I mean, it's work.
It
But
is.
the result was we gave Adolphus Hailstork a key to the city of South Bend. I did not know that was the first key to the city he ever got in his life. But we gave it to him, and he was there. And I discovered people who had played some of his music in the orchestra. We got a chance to meet him for the first time. Our students got to talk with him, you know, all those kinds of things. So grant writing is very important, very important.
I would like to just inject that with the Patriotic Project, our youth group, like it started 2008, right after Katrina and everything. And we received a grant from Mitchell Andrew, and it was a blessing because it was we received it on a funding style. Like I said, it was a blessing because there was an initiative he needed to have fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And we met his initiative.
There you go.
So we got like 25,000 or so, and with that money, I had over 130 children from all over, from different parts of Louisiana. And on July the 4th, we gave this concert. We were able to, they sang the ballad for Americans that Paul Robeson had done.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it with children and the Ganoyo, the Greater New Orleans Youth Orchestra. And I was able to do a camp, but the kids stayed at a university with the housing and everything. All of that was based on that grant, and just parents and community coming in there. And we've always, like Wilfred Delphin, our kids were working with Wilfred like every day. And I mean, and we were making sure they were working with other famous artists who were, about what we were about, had the same objectives and goals and missions. And to this day, even now, there have been several groups here that assist me here at Nicholls State. A group called Ameri Group and Healthy Blue, and their initiative is about what we're talking about here. And they make sure that I have enough funding to make sure that the kids here have a set, they have lighting, they have costuming. I can bring in guest artists who do master classes and also perform with the students, so they can say when they leave here that they have had that experience. And even when I was a student at Dillard in my sophomore year, I was still trying to decide whether I wanted to be a music major or not. And here comes William Warfield with the Lyceum program, who told me, yeah, you need to stay in this business.
Dr. Francis.
Yeah.
Dr. Francis, we're gonna have to cut. I wish we need another day.
Yeah. I'm just very thankful. We have so many, experiences to share.
I know. Well, we may have some questions. I'm gonna get Natasha to come back in because I'm not. It's almost time for us to go. This is gonna have to. I'm gonna have to bring this back or something. Okay. Natasha.
I want to thank Brenda and her panelists. They have done a wonderful job. And, this is my 23rd year as an educator. And it's amazing when I can hear the same stories. I drag the kids all over the place. Fly them as well. I remember we flew to Carnegie Hall, and while we were out there that week, and I took about 15, and some of them, like Dr. Curtis said, they had never flown before. So I have pictures of them in the seats together with their mouths and eyes wide open. And I can't tell too much because one of them may be on the camera tonight. So, but while we were there, they did the Rudder Requiem. But I also took them to see La Traviata at the Met, and they also went to we went to a jazz club that night to see one of our famous renowned recording jazz artists. So, exposure is good. And Brenda mentioned about being in a dry desert. Sometimes I feel that's where we are here. But as long as we as educators are able to take them where they can go so they can get what they need, I promise you they will stay within the arts, and it'll be for a lifetime. You know, they don't just sing in the choir and it's over. Once they graduate, they get a part of community groups, or they get into community theater, or some are truly arts patrons money-wise, or some participate on arts councils, and that's what it's all about. We want to keep the arts alive in the students. And just continue to educate them. I want to make sure that you have completed your survey. If not, you're more than welcome to check out our website, HBCU Artists Reunion, I think it is, .com. I'll stick that in the chat as well. I want to tell you about some of our upcoming workshops. Tomorrow, we'll have another performance workshop with Rashonda Spears, and this will be featuring Brenda Wimberly, Marvin Williams Sr., Terrence Bebe, Stewart, Shannon McGowan, and Miss Hattie Wade. And this is the Negro Spiritual, the Hip Hop to Opera final project. And this will also feature some of the electronic portfolios that Rashonda Spears has been introducing to our students. We'll also have a visual arts workshop with Eric Francis, who is our artist in residence, and you will enjoy those. We also have workshops going on every day, next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. But we will be back with Brenda again on Wednesday, and she'll be talking about opera, if I'm not mistaken. And
That's right.
Color
That's
Noir.
right.
Yes,
That's
I'm excited about that. We'll be there. She'll be talking about that as well. So please visit our website, HBCU Artist Homecoming, not reunion, HBCUArtistHomecoming.com. We have a very active calendar, and in that active calendar, it will take you directly to the links for the visual performance, or the visual showcase, or our performance showcase. We usually have 2 different ones going on each night, Monday through Thursday. I want to thank everybody for being on. I want to thank several members of my choir for being on. You know, I keep teasing them on all these Zoom videos. I said, it's so nice to see your faces because, you know, we're masked up in class and we don't get to spend a lot of time together because of the pandemic. So it was great to see them. We have definitely enjoyed you all. I'm trying to see who we have on. We have our director, Ms. Pam Atchison. You wave, show your face. She is on. My colleague and friend, Dr. Davis, Dr. Rodriguez Davis, he's a visual artist. I see his name, but if yes, he sends a wave. Fantastic visual artist. If you have not seen any of his stuff, I'm not sure if the display is down at Shreveport Regional Arts Council, but those of you who are local at Art Space, I think he does have some things up in there. And I don't see any of our other committee members on.
We don't have any questions?
Yes, I'm going to get into that. There were no questions. There were several comments if you want to go into those. But I want to thank everybody for their time. And I know you learned something and got something out of this. And if you have anything to share, you are more than welcome to shoot me an email at davisn@graham.edu, and I will pass it on to Miss Brenda. And hope to see you all tomorrow. Workshop begins at 6 o'clock. And again, this is with Rashonda Spears, but Brenda will be on that one as well. I think I'm on that call as well. Also, talking.
Is it tomorrow though?
Yes, tomorrow.
Okay.
Get it together, Brittany. Get it together.
Again, I want to thank my panel. I just am, you know, I am just so, I'm very humbled right now because you took out of your time to be a part of this very needed and necessary conversation. And lots of wonderful comments have come through about what you guys have actually given us tonight. And I want to thank you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks again. It was great seeing my friends, Marvin Curtis and Miss Francis. And also nice to meet you, Miss Twine. And I promise you I'll take care of Angel to the best of my abilities. And if not, I know where to reach you.
That's how you do that. That's how you do that.
Thank you all. And you all have a good night.
Okay, good night, everybody, and thank
Good
you,
night.
thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I don't see how I say goodbye.